a chart here that was put together about all the different housing units that are needed. And it's crazy. I said outside when at a press conference this morning, the numbers are astronomical. A lot of times they're comical, I'll be honest. This document loses a lot of respect to me and understanding because the numbers are so outlandish. Like, it's really tough to take it seriously when some of these numbers that are being thrown around and what needs to be done in these municipalities. I don't know if it's the methodology that was put together that came up with this. I don't know if it's the definitions we're trying to use of what is affordable. I think there's many different things that are going wrong that are leading down this fair share path that is going to be here for decades. I can't stress that enough. We see A30G when that was passed. It was a landmark decision. Well, it's still living with us decades later. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's still here. And it's making major decisions in terms of how municipalities are looking today. This will do the same thing. This will do the same thing. Let's be very clear. Yes, maybe there's no teeth in there. And I'll ask the question right now, through you, Mr. Speaker, if to do anything with these numbers, is there any repercussions to them? Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Felipe.
No, through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Scott.
So there's no repercussions. We'll get into it. There is a slight repercussion. You're deprioritized. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's actually no penalty. You're not going to have to pay a fine. You're not going to lose education funding, all that stuff. But that's today. Just like 2 years ago when I was standing over there, that was today, and now we're 2 years different. We're standing here today. Funds that are potentially going to be deprioritized for that municipality. Can I have a couple examples for that, please?
Representative Felipe.
Oh, discretionary funding is any grant or other financial assistance programs administered by the state in the provisions of the subsections that govern this.
Would like a steep grant be considered one of those, through you, Mr. Speaker?
Representative Felipe.
Yes, through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Scott.
All right, so I'm not going to go through all the different grants, obviously, because there's a gazillion of them. But the idea is, I just want to give one example of, okay, this is what people can understand. So when we say deprioritize, what does that mean? How does that affect that municipality's funding source for that? Could it be cut to zero because the money runs out in that potential steep grant, or whatever grant? And again, we'll just use that as an example, but again, any grant, is that potential a zero because it just ran out because you're deprioritized, you're pushed down the bottom? Or is it that you're just last in line? You're not going to get told, yes, you got it until last. Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Felipe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we've said before, this doesn't affect eligibility for those grants, and it doesn't deprioritize anybody. It only prioritizes those who adhere. So you may end up in the back of the line, but you are prioritized for adhering, not deprioritized for not. Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Scott.
That's semantics. I think it's the same exact thing. I think if you're prioritized, then other people who are not prioritized get deprioritized. So I think it's semantics, but it's duly noted that those folks that hit these thresholds that are these crazy thresholds will then ultimately be, the ones who hit it will be prioritized, the other ones will be deprioritized, but they won't be a zero. So I appreciate that. Today, that number is not going to go to zero, so I'm happy to hear that. So Monroe has an allocation of 1,302 affordable units. Keep in mind, that's what they need to do now. That's their allocation. That's now what's on their agenda, on their number. But it was so outlandish, right? Think about that. I mean, it's outlandish. An average of two and a half people per unit, potentially. You're looking at, 3,000 people you're going to add to a town that only has 18, 19,000 people. But because it's so outlandish, you have to multiply times 0.25. Bring it down to kind of be somewhat more bearable. And that means Monroe still has to have 326 units. 326 affordable units. If they were to do that, they would have to have over 1,000 housing units added. Normally, when affordable housing units go up, it's usually 30%. There's 100 units go up, or 100 single-family homes, whatever it might be. 100 units go up, 30% more affordable. That 30% is 326 of the overall 1,085 number. So if I vote yes today, I'm telling my town, I'm telling my municipality, that you need to build over 1,000 units. I'd be laughed at. If I went to a planning and zoning meeting, I'd be laughed at. Because that's what we have to do to get to even 326, and that's if it's 30% or 25% 30% set aside being affordable housing, but that's only 25% of the overall number. Think about that. The overall number was 1,300 units. I said 1,302. That would have meant we'd have had to build 4,300 housing units, assuming 30% of them were set aside for affordable housing. That's what the numbers spit out. 4,340. 2.5 people per unit, potentially. A family, and some have a kid, some don't. Look at almost 10,000 people adding to the population. We have 19,000 Monroe. You almost want to double our, 50% more of our population. What's going to happen to the infrastructure? What's going to happen to schools? What's going to happen to police? It's innumerable what's going to happen. Easton has no commercial in their town. It's very, very low commercial. Like, they have acreages of farms. They're like the #1 Christmas tree per capita in the entire state. The idea would be knock down a farm and build apartment buildings. That's the only way Easton's going to get their number. Easton's number is Monroe's bad. I live in Monroe, but Easton is Easton has 7,500 people in it, roughly 7,500 people. This is comical. This study and their methodology, which is totally broken, clearly, says that Easton should build 4,200 units. If they have 2 people on average that live there, they're going to double their population, over double their population, if just 2 people live in those units. That's what the report said. Now, yes, we're multiplying times 25%. You know why? Because the numbers are just crazy, right? Now, I share Easton with another representative. I can't walk into the town of Easton and tell them, yes, you need to go build 8,200 or 4,200 units somewhere. Find it. The only way to do it, there's no commercial. Only way to do it is you start knocking down farms. We're pro-environment. We're pro-open space. We're also we need affordable housing. We need big apartment buildings. Can't be pro-everything.